What is up, my most amazing Media Man fans? Truly thrilled to be back with a Media Rant. This is number 13. Missed doing this show, and just glad to be back with this show. I still have had some Let's Plays and some other things come out since this show last aired, but it has been since July. I believe July 1st was the last episode I posted. So for those who are fans of this show, thank you and welcome back. I will be doing this once a week. I am committed to doing it once a week, if not more, depending on what's going on. But I definitely want to get these out to you and talk about the news in the Media Man way. So let's get going. Now, before I start talking about the other news, I do want to talk about something that ever since the Xbox One X was announced, that I've been kind of mentioning. I have picked on the Xbox One X. Picked on Microsoft for having no games, and I still stick to, they don't have a whole lot of exclusives, but I am taking the plunge and picking up an Xbox One X. Now, before you laugh at me, and you can, go ahead, I won't know, the reason being is I have been watching Digital Foundry videos of the difference between the Xbox One and the Xbox One X, and also the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, and all the little details. It's basically like getting, a much nicer graphics card for your Xbox One games, and I'm also all about new hardware. Now, the other cool thing, well, for me it's cool, is, I was able to pre-order the Project Scorpio edition. Now, I do want to say, Stone Fox Media, Chris from Stone Fox Media, did come out and say, it's like they just slap some paint, slap some words on the controller in the Xbox One X, and, it's not a big deal, and, I do agree. So why am I getting it? A couple reasons. Number one is I love the Scorpio name much better than Xbox One X. It's confusing. There's Xbox One, there's Xbox One S, and Xbox One X. Now, for gamers, it makes, we can deal. It's not the end of the world. I kind of get it. But for those who are maybe just getting into gaming again, or whatever it is, and haven't been following, it can cause some confusion, especially for parents who are buying their spoiled kids. Their kids, an Xbox One for Christmas. When you've got the X on the shelves, and the S, and the One, and the this, and the that. And so, really, I do think it's for the hardcore gamers, just as they mentioned, and I fall into that category, so I am picking one up. And if you missed the pre-order for the Scorpio, and you're interested in getting one, I have heard that there's still a lot of Xbox One X pre-orders around. The regular version, which again is just as good as the Scorpio version, and you can always write Scorpio on your controller or on your console, but I've heard those are still available as of this shooting, as I'm doing this video. So hopefully you guys are able to pick one up if that is something you're interested in, and go down and pre-order one at Best Buy or Target or wherever your favorite place to purchase consoles / video games is. Now, just saying that, check out videos yourself on Digital Foundry. They don't need a shout out, but I am only mentioning them because they've really covered this so well, that anything I say is Digital Foundry is going to help you a lot more. They're engineers, they know a lot about what's inside the Xbox One, and they've been saying a lot of the X, they've been saying a lot of really good stuff about it, and you'll also be able to see the comparison side to side and all that good stuff. If you do want links, let me know. I'll direct you to the videos, or I can give you information here in the description, or in in the comments. But otherwise, you check out Digital Foundry. I don't normally send people to the other videos, but they did such a doggone good job that I wanted to let you guys know about it. So that being said, let me know. Are you guys interested in getting an Xbox One X? Do you think it's just silly? You're not going to hurt my feelings if you think I'm nuts for doing it. I know sometimes I am nuts, some of the stuff I do, so not judging you whatsoever, one way or the other. So the first story I really want to talk about is about another console coming out. And for those who have been following gaming news at all, or are hardcore gamers like myself, know that Atari came out and announced the Atari Box. Now, when they first made the announcement, they just said, it exists, it's happening, we're making it. No one knew anything about it, didn't know what it looked like, didn't know what kind of power. They, I think there was some grumblings that it was going to be pretty powerful, and all that stuff. Now, they just recently came out with some articles about the Atari Box, which is what they're calling it, and it's going to run on Linux, which for those of you who are fans of Linux, this is good news. And supposedly it's going to have some games that are exclusive. They haven't announced any games yet that are exclusive, but also PC games and of course the old Atari staples. Okay, and when I heard this information and didn't know the price, I was thinking, well, if it's 100, 150, maybe even $200, I may give it a look, and possibly pick one up just because I love having the various consoles. Now, something to think about before I go on with the story. The last Atari console that was made that I remember was the Jaguar. For those who don't know what the Jaguar is, look it up. I'm sure there's some videos on YouTube that'll show you the Jaguar. It kind of came and went. It wasn't a great console. Not a lot of great games. Not a whole lot of fantastic, amazing exclusives. And for a 64-bit system, I believe it was 64 bits. Correct me if I'm wrong if you know more about it, and I'll do a little research and put some more info, and just for kicks in the descriptions. But it was basically garbage. The last one they did, it had more power than the other consoles at the time, but it wasn't well designed. So yeah, it's sorry, when I just think about it, I'm actually almost like flabbergasted, because here's the deal. They did come out with the price, and they said it's going to be somewhere between $250 to $299. $299. Now let's think for a minute. What else is $299? The Switch. The Switch is $299, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the Switch in just a minute, but a fantastic console hybrid that I absolutely love, $299. Or you can get an Atari Box for $299. You can get a PS4 Pro for $299. PS4, I'm sorry, I believe the Pro is still $400. Or maybe it's $350. I don't remember, guys. If you really want to know, I'll let you know, but you guys can look it up. But you can get a PS4 for sure for $300, even cheaper. An Xbox One, you can get the original Xbox One that'll play all the Xbox One games for, I believe last time I checked, it was $180, maybe even a little cheaper, and you can get bundles for around $200 that have some really cool games with it. So, plus all the backwards compatible stuff on the Xbox One. I mean, tons of games on both the PS4 and the Xbox One for less than what they are charging, or about the same, for the Atari Box. My prediction is this thing is going to flop hard. I'm going to keep an eye on it, and if it gets cheap enough, I may pick one up, or if they want to send me one and prove me wrong, I'm here, Atari. If you happen to stumble across this video, you send me one and I'll review it and be honest with you guys. And and I would love to be wrong, because I do love new hardware. I do love to see kind of underdogs come back, when it comes to hardware and stuff. But I just don't see it happening. Let me know though. I mean, is this something that excites you? Because it's going to have PC ports, it's going to have Atari games, and apparently some exclusives. But they haven't announced any exclusives, and I don't even know when it's coming out. As soon as I get that information, I'll definitely let you guys know. So if you are interested, cool. Though I'm not sure why. I'm sorry. I should really give it a chance, but it's just, it's hilarious to me. So that's enough about a console that I think will fail before it even comes out. Let's talk about a console that has been more successful than people ever thought. That you know, it kicked butt and people didn't give it enough credit when they came out with it. They thought it was going to be a gimmick. Yes, my friends, I am talking about the Nintendo Switch. And whatever you feel about the Switch, it is a brilliant concept. It is what the Wii U should have been. I remember when I got the Wii U, I thought, oh, this is cool. You can play on the tablet itself when someone else wants to use the TV, and it worked okay as long as it was attached. If you tried to move too far from the TV, it got disconnected. I mean, I would sometimes be on the couch close to the TV when people were watching TV, trying to play Mario or something, and it would just die. So they did it right with the Switch. You can take it anywhere you want because the console is actually in the tablet form factor. So I love it. I think it's great. Zelda is amazing. Mario is going to be great. Mario Odyssey coming out October 27th looks fantastic. They're announcing stuff left and right. L.A. Noire, Doom. Holy cow, they're having Doom on it. One of the best shooters, I think, last year. Yeah, they're going to be older, but who cares? You can take it with you. That's the biggest deal. Wolfenstein 2, which isn't even out yet, they've announced for it. Elder Scrolls Skyrim, of course, we've known about for a while. I mean, there's so many games that I can announce right now that are coming out for it. This game right here that I'm playing, which, by the way, is called Morphit, which is a fantastic game. And just as a side note, I'm in a place that's already been kind of explored and discovered, and just when I do these, I don't like to, too much action because I get distracted, and all of a sudden we have, half an hour of me playing a game and not actually saying anything. So, but this is a great game. This is like what No Man's Sky should have been. I don't know what the guns are like because I'm early in, but just so far with the scanning feels great. You don't have to get as many materials to make things happen. You can, and you did see me kind of shooting some animals. They were peaceful animals, but there are a lot of animals that will attack you, and it is a lot of fun when you're dodging and shooting, and so much more action-packed than No Man's Sky. So I just kind of wanted to promote that real quick, and I mainly mention that because this game is coming to the Switch as well, and I will have a review for both this one, the PC version, and the Switch version when I get my hands on it. I've already reached out to the developers, and they said, yes, we're absolutely going to send you one when it's ready, so I will have a review copy. That being said, the Switch has really just been an absolute joy. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I've been thrilled with the console. It's not just the AAA stuff that's coming out, and all the RPGs, Project Octopath, Xenosaga 2, not Saga. You know what I mean. I'm sorry. But all the games coming out, I've got a ton of stuff in my brain, so I apologize for messing up. But I'll put it in the description. So, but one of my favorite games, on the Wii. And they had, I believe, a Wii U port as well as a 3DS version. We're going to call it Xenosaga, even though that's not right. But just a bunch of great stuff coming out that I am super excited about. So the Switch looks amazing. The future looks incredible for it. And as you guys know, I've always been a big fan ever since I picked it up and popped on the Joy-Cons and started playing on it. It just felt great. And, one of the coolest things, I was talking about indie games, it seems like every couple days, worst case a week, they're popping new games on the eShop. And yes, I do want the Virtual Console. I am excited about that. I can't wait till they get the GameCube games on there. Ton of stuff I didn't get to finish on the GameCube, an underrated console. That I would love to see, as well as N64 stuff, play some Turok on my handheld, different things like that I would love to see. So make it happen, Nintendo, make it happen quick. But in the meantime, they've been, dropping, Geo games, some great ones too. I'm loving, playing Metal Slug again on it, and some of the fighting games, and just a ton of different indie games, even some mobile games that actually play really well on the console, and they're very reasonably priced. We want to talk about the AAA games and how they're priced, but so I'm just absolutely jazzed about this Switch. If you haven't got one, they seem to be a lot more readily available. Unfortunately, you can't go anywhere and test them because they don't really, unlike the Xbox One and PS4, you can't go into GameStop and actually try one. I think that should be rectified for sure. But, Nintendo's not hurting, so there you go. But, yeah, so love the Switch, which brings me to my next story, something I want to talk about, and it's another one I just it just makes me laugh thinking about it. And before I really kind of dive into this Sony story, because I love Sony. They've got some of the best first party stuff out there, some of the best third party as a whole. We won't talk about Nintendo stuff because that's a whole different world, but and a ton of great games coming out, and they just keep announcing cool stuff. So I am super glad I have a PS4. I love the PS4. The Pro is worth it to me. Great system to record on and do Let's Plays. I love Sony. However, I got to call them out for a couple of things. The first one being, they came out and basically said handhelds are dead. Nobody wants handhelds anymore. And this was in regards to people asking him about the Vita 2, because it had been rumored that Sony was going to come out with a Vita, a second Vita, and they said basically no, because handhelds just, they don't do well. Mobile games are more popular and all this other stuff. So tell that to the 3DS, tell that to the Switch, obviously Nintendo stuff. Really the reason that the Vita failed, I still think it's a cool little console, little handheld, is twofold. Number one, Sony, after I think it was not even maybe a year, they pretty much dropped it. They said, we're not going to make any more first party games. They gave us the fantastic Uncharted Golden Abyss, which I beat 3 or 4 times, waiting and hoping that Sony would change their mind and give me something else to play. And then a bunch of really cool indie games. But that was pretty much it. A couple decent first-person shooters, one really good one and one crappy one. And then, of course, you could play a bunch of your PSP games, stuff you've already downloaded. You could re-download again onto the Vita. So for me, it was worth it. I do want to get one again at some point. I had one, got frustrated, sold it, wish I didn't, blah blah blah. But one of the biggest struggles I have is the memory cards were so expensive. I think it's still like $80 for a 32 gig, or maybe it's closer to 70. But either way, for a pre-owned little tiny card, a 32 gig card, which if you have a collection like I do for the PSP and the Vita, you're going to need the bigger storage. And yes, they do have a 64 gig that's around $100, but I got that before and it crashed the system over and over again, so it couldn't handle it. It was weird because it was a Sony brand. But that was the biggest, I think it's the biggest downfall. Sony can say whatever it wants, but if you look at really what happened, they didn't come out with the games for it, and the memory cards were way too stinking expensive. They did the same thing with the PSP, but the PSP, the cards weren't quite as expensive, and they came out with a ton of really great games. So, you could argue that, yeah, you don't need a super big card for the Vita, because you can get a bunch of cartridges for it. Yeah, but then those of us who have a huge PSP library have to download and delete and all that stuff, and that's not any fun. So this is on you, Sony. handhelds aren't going anywhere. I really believe that. I don't like personally playing on my phone. I know a lot of people that don't, partially because I've played games that got into them and then got phone calls, got spam calls, things like that. And so it's not, mobile gaming isn't for me. Phone gaming isn't for me. I have some stuff on my tablet and it's pretty cool, but I just don't care enough about mobile gaming for that to take over handheld. Handheld, you get that experience, with the great controls on the 3DS or on the Switch, and on the Vita as well. If you've ever played a Vita, it's like I said, a great little handheld. I still think worth picking up. They're only about $160 pre-owned. But if you decide to go for that, pick up the older version, because the OLED screen is much better than the new Vita screen they have. You can tell the difference side by side. It is gorgeous. So I would go with the heavier, more solid feeling older Vita if you decide you want to get a Vita. But I digress. I just find it funny that Sony came out and said that when it's because of them that their Vita didn't do well. They have no one else to blame, and you can't blame the handheld market. So that's my 2 cents on that. The other thing I want to talk about when we're talking about Sony is they don't want to play with others. They don't want to play well with others. Microsoft came out and said, hey, we're going to do this really cool Minecraft thing where you can play on all your systems. They just released it, if you haven't tried it, where you can play with your mobile phone and tablet buddies, and on your PC and your Xbox One. They all can play together, which for me is no big deal because I'm not really a multiplayer guy. If you guys are on, would love to play with you, and I like MMOs and things like that, but really when it comes down to competitive stuff, that's not. I would rather just get into a story, into a world, and explore and blow stuff up and all that kind of stuff. So not huge on multiplayer myself, but I do get why people like it, and I do enjoy it when I get the right party or get friends together and things like that. But saying all that, for Sony to come out and say we don't want to allow our servers to connect with your servers, in other words, we're not going to let Minecraft players or other players for other games play with Xbox One and Switch and whoever else, a PC, would want to play together. And I just think that is very stupid. I don't know how else to put it. And again, much love for Sony, but I don't get that to save my life. I think that there is a certain amount of arrogance to Sony because they are kicking a lot of butt. If you guys have another view on this, I would love to hear it. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you disagree with me. I can handle that as long as it's done in a respectful manner. But I just don't see, why Sony won't play nice with others. I think it'll only help their brand. In fact, I think this is going to hurt them when it comes to the multi-platform games, because for me, if I didn't have Minecraft, for example, and I was getting it for the console for the first time, and I knew that I could play with my PC friends or my Switch buddies or whatever on different consoles, same universe, I'm gonna pick up the game that's going to give me the extra. So shame on you, Sony. Get it together. Come on, man. Yes, you're winning right now, but things can change quickly. And yes, you have some amazing first party and third party games, but don't get too comfortable. I'm just saying, Switch is coming out swinging. It may not be as powerful, but the games, holy cow, are they coming out with the games. And the Xbox One, when the X comes out, I think it's going to change. It definitely change the way we play our Xbox One games, and that's going to make a super huge difference. So that's my take on what's going on with Sony right now. I love you, but knock it off. Grow up. Come on, Sony. You know, you have a lot of fans that love you, that love your console, love your games, and would love to play with their Xbox One fans. Let's unite. Let's not divide. This is ridiculous. So yeah. Between the handhelds are dead and the multiplayer stuff, I think Sony just needs to be quiet for a little bit and just keep making great games. And speaking of games, I saw a video, and I want to look at this guy's name because I don't want to get it wrong. I may misspell it anyway, but there was a video of a gentleman called Dean Takahashi, the lead writer for VentureBeat. Apparently he was playing, well, not apparently, I saw it, he was playing Cuphead. And to say he wasn't very good is an understatement. He could not get past the tutorial. Now, to be fair, Cuphead is a super, super difficult game. I've watched IGN play it. I watched some other people play it. I will have a review up as soon as I can get my hands on it. I'm supposed to be getting a review copy, so we'll see how that works. If not, I'll pay for it my own self. It is a gorgeous game. It looks great. Been looking forward to it for years. I have, in fact, if you go back to MediaRant.com, my site, it's you can look up Cuphead and you'll see I did a preview on it a long time ago. But anyway, the game looks great, but he couldn't get past the tutorial. And there's some double jumping stuff, and it took him 26 minutes. And I can't even remember if he even actually finally beat it, but he kept dying on the tutorial. He kept just not making it. He couldn't get up the platform things, and so that brought up an interesting discussion in the gaming verse, the gaming universe, and that is, should journalists be good at games? Yeah. I'm just going to put it out there. Now, I do want to say this. I'm not great at everything. There are times when I've done reviews, done some Let's Plays where I've had to start again. Not the ones... If I tell you that we're playing this together and this is my first time, it really is. But mostly for reviews where I've died, I felt too many times, so I reshoot it, things like that. I've struggled... I mean, I consider myself a good gamer. But there are gamers out there that are just extremely, extremely talented and skilled, and so I think you should at least be good. I think you should be able to play, and even if it's just a couple of genres. I don't understand why he would put that out. Maybe it was live. I don't remember. But I don't understand why you would let that sit. I would learn that game and make sure that what I put out, that I at least pass the tutorial. When I was watching IGN, they kept dying over and over again. But I'm cool with that. I get that, because it is a difficult game from everything I've seen. But to not be able to pass a tutorial, I don't know. I'm sorry, Dean. You may be great at other games. I'm not 100% sure, but that doesn't show a lot of confidence when people watch that and you're talking about games like you're an expert on games and you can't get past a tutorial. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there. But let me know what you guys think. This is a very interesting topic to me. So if you guys think it's not a huge deal, let me know. If you think it is a big deal, let me know. I know that I'm not good at every single game. I'm just not. I'm not super at fighting games. I can hold my own most of the time. I'm not great at Call of Duty necessarily. I'm usually middle somewhere because I don't play much. Like I said, I don't play a lot of multiplayer, but I am good at single player games. I'm good at exploring and learning at Zelda. I've beaten all of them except for Majora's Mask. The time thing just got me. I will go back and beat that game. But I beat all the other ones. So I'm a very capable gamer, but I'm not great at everything, and I get that. But to put something out where you're just dying over and over again, or not succeeding, I should say, on a tutorial level, you got to do better than that. That's just my 2 cents. Maybe it comes out harsh, but again, I'm open for discussion. Let me know what you think on that topic. I I would definitely be interested. You know, the other thing I want to tackle real quick, it's just kind of off the cuff. I don't have this written down as a topic I'm going to talk about, but microtransactions. There was a review for NBA 2K18. Now, I haven't had a chance to play this, but it got a 3 out of 10. A 3 out of 10. I don't remember the guy's name. Even though the game, he said the game was good, nothing was really broken, but you couldn't do anything without microtransactions. I haven't played the game myself, so I don't know. I'm going off what the guy said and the stories I've seen on it. But depending on the situation, I'm not sure if I would rate a game a 3 out of 10. You know, if it was an 8 out of 10, giving it a 3 out of 10 because of microtransactions. But then again, if it's completely run by microtransactions, if you can't build the team the way you want it without, you know, or at least close to the way you want it without spending money, I do think that's ridiculous. Because here's the thing, NBA 2K18 on the Switch is $60. On the PS4, it's $60. I don't know how much it is on the PC, but I imagine it's very close. On the Xbox One, well, you got it. $60. This is a $60 game. It's not like they're charging $20 or saying, hey, it's free, but buy some microtransaction stuff. This is a full-priced game that they want to charge microtransactions. So, I do have some issues with it. I don't know if I'd, you know, rate it a 3 out of 10 if it was a good game, but despite that. But then again, that depends on how much of the game you can get for $60 without actually paying for stuff. I mean, I hate microtransactions as it is. That's why I don't play a lot of mobile games and other stuff where, hey, it's free, but you have to pay to get a potion. In fact, I played this one game on the phone. I won't say what it is, but I died as I was surrounded by monsters, and they said, hey, would you like to resurrect? I said, sure. Would you like a resurrection poster? Sure, that's generous. Okay, $10. Buy. No, not going to do it. I'd rather just pay the full price. Now, if you're going to charge me full price plus microtransactions, I'm really going to have an issue with that, because then it becomes pay to win, and I hate the pay to win. I do. You know, in something like Call of Duty, if someone put a lot of hours into it, so they have the best equipment, and I have a pistol, I don't enjoy that, but I get it. They put the hours in, the blood and sweat and tears and all that good stuff. But, you know, when it's, hey, you know, we're going to charge you $60 and then microtransactions, no, thank you. So I won't be picking that game up. Let me know if you have and you like it, if you can actually play the game fully without having to buy more stuff. And, you know, the other thing I do want to kind of mention, again, this is off the cuff, but something that is in my brain, is the memory issue with the Switch. Now, I sang praises to the Switch because I do love the console, but to have 32 gigs internal storage does kind of suck. Most phones have 32 gig storage. Even the iPhone 8 came out, and Apple's been doing 64 as its lowest. Now, that is an expensive phone, so, you know, I'm not going to say that, you know, compare the two. This is a, you know, a $800 phone, or $700. I don't know exactly how much it is. I know the X is $10,000. I mean, $1,000. Sorry, might as well be $10,000. But anyway, you know, it comes out at 64 gigs. So I don't understand why we couldn't at least get 64 gigs built in. And, you know, on the positive side, I'm glad they did go with micro SD cards, because those are pretty reasonable. You can get a 256 for, I think, around 100 or less. I haven't shopped for a while for them. I've got a 32 gig card. No, I have a 64 gig card in mine, as well as a 32 gig card, and so far that's been fine. I buy most of my games physical, except for the indie stuff, and the indie stuff doesn't take a whole lot of space. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Does that bother you? Is that a turn off to you? You know, if you think about the Vita, didn't come with really. I don't think it had any memory. I think the new one, the new plastic Vita, had like 1 or 2 gigs built in, and then if you put a memory card in it, you know, let's say you got a 32 gig, then it would be 32 gigs, but you couldn't use the 1 gig or the 2 gigs or whatever the built-in storage was for the newer one. But the older one didn't even have built-in storage. It didn't have anything. You had to have a memory card to save. So, you know, at least on the positive side, you can save, you can get physical games, you can get a lot of indie games with the 32 gigs. Actually, technically, I think it's 25 gigs built into this system. But on the other side, it's really not a lot, especially when Legend of Zelda takes, I think, 17 gigs or something like that. So to me, it is a bit of an issue, but I'm kind of back and forth. I haven't found it an issue for me, but I think that's going to change when some of the bigger download-only games come out, because the system will take 2 terabytes. And they are working on a 2 terabyte card. Probably first they'll have a 1 terabyte at some point. You know, but at this point I don't need any more than what I have. But you know, I do see myself running out of space. And the other issue that I did want to mention is, from my understanding, there's no way to transfer data between the card and the system itself. Now, I haven't tried, because I have, you know, I just put the memory card in, and you know, I download the games and I can download it onto the memory card. I know that much, but I think the save data you can't back up, which is crazy. The save data is actually on the system itself, not on the cartridges, which I think is cool. So you don't have to worry about that. If something happens to your cartridge, it stops working, you got to replace it. But the only thing is, if you have to replace your Switch and it dies, then guess what? You're out of luck when it comes to your saved games. And if you're anything like me, you've spent a lot of time on, you know, Lego games or Zelda, or you know, some of those other games that you can just kind of dive into and put a lot of hours into. And I can see it being an issue when Skyrim comes out. So you know, just a couple things to think about. But again, Switch has been good to me. I do love it to death, but not perfect. And I don't love the memory situation, and or the inability to transfer. Hopefully they'll be able to do something like that on an update. I don't know enough about how that stuff works, to be honest, but that would be cool if they did that. But otherwise, you know, keep going, Switch. Show these guys how it's done. And as always, I love you guys. I am so glad. Thank you. By the way, just hit 1 million views on this very channel. Over 6,000 subscribers, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you guys are checking out my stuff. Hopefully you like this, and you know, let me know what you guys want me to talk about. Hey, let me know in the comments. You know, I'm open, and yeah, so thank you so much. Please, if you haven't already, please do subscribe, like this video. I love your support, and we will catch you in the next video. Take care of yourselves, guys, and look for another Media Rant very, very soon. Peace out.